A gentleman asked a question, arguing how unreasonable and unscientific the people of faith are when they invoke God, which they believe in. They turn their faces and their hands upwards. They say we're turning upwards and invoking God because God rests high above the heavens. And the person said that I wonder, had they known science, they would not do such silly things, so to say. And his argument was to him quite scientific when he tried to explain his point that when you observe the whole setup of the universe and the earth revolving around the sun and rotating around its own axis, you see that there is sky everywhere. And it's quite possible that when you say that we are turning upwards, you may be turning downwards. So because there is no up and no down, as the universe as it is, there is no up and there is no down. So there were certain people sitting around, they laughed and they said this, yes, this is quite scientific, and they laughed at the people of faith. And I very humbly asked him a question. Please tell me scientifically, where does the sun rise from? He said, the sun rises from the east. And I asked him, where does it set in? He said, it sets in the east, in the west. I said, scientifically speaking, does the sun rise? Does the sun set? And then I went on asking, does the rain fall or does it rise? So he was dumbfounded. He couldn't say anything. So then I tried to explain to him. He said, see, this is how humanly you can put things. You use human language to describe certain things, your experiences, as it looks to you, as you see things around, as you see them. You just put them into your own day-to-day language. Whenever you talk, whenever you speak, you are not always talking science. But at that time, if you go for talking science, it will be illogical, you will be irrational. If somebody, you see all the newspapers, radios, televisions, they say that the sun is rising tomorrow on this time, at this time, and then it is just going to set at this time, at a particular time. So is this unscientific? If this is unscientific, how can you explain this process? How can you explain this phenomenon? How can you say that when the sun rises and when the sun sets, or does the rain fall? Or you can say, how can you say that rainfall is a linguistically, it's linguistically good? It may not be scientifically speaking. So when you say that God is high above and the people who believe in God, they turn their faces upwards, it's not wrong. They believe that God's everywhere. But what looks up to them, it's quite reasonable, because you observe the universe as it is when you are resting on the face of the earth, how it seems to you. For example, you say new moon, the crescent. Is there any crescent? Is there any new moon? Moon has always been moon. But on the ground, you see the moon changes its faces. So how will you explain this in human language when you are going to take full consideration of what actually the scientific phenomenon is? So it is just bias and prejudice which you preoccupy your minds with, and then go on asking silly questions.